Welcome, elite agents and investors from across the country. It is Thursday, January 16th, 2020, and this is Mastermind call number 261. Chad, do you think we'll get to 1,000? What do you think? I haven't done the math, but I think it's a few years away, so hopefully we will get, all right, hopefully we'll all survive long enough to get there. I'm confident too. We do have 3 in the queue, guys. As I always say, we try and fail to get this call in often in an hour just to respect your time. So if you know you have something you want to share, discuss, question, anything is there's nothing really out of bounds here, as long as you're polite and the language is good. But do it early rather than wait to the last minute. It seems without fail at 5 minutes of, we have like 8 people jump in there, and we really have a hard time not getting to everyone. So having said all that, partners, anything you want to add?
I just want to know if I can't use bad language while I'm on this call.
Well, that's true, but that's why we have a 7-second delay on you, Tim, so I can beep you out if necessary.
I got nothing, buddy. Let's get on with it.
All right. Chad, you want to share Mastery news before we get started?
Yeah, so the last announcement went out this morning. If you're waiting on Mastery, it starts on Monday for January. And if you're an alumni wondering why you haven't got your registration, I have like 30 folks that I still have to register. So if you emailed support and asked to be to go through the class a second or subsequent time, I'll get those done probably later today. So just keep your eye out I'll manually register each of you. But if you've never taken the class and you want to, you can go to probatemastery.com and jump in, and we'll get started on Monday afternoon at 2 o'clock Eastern.
All right, excellent. Well, we have 3 in the queue. Let's go to the first person up this week. Phone number ending in 7754. You're up first.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Maria, and I am calling from Central Texas, the Fort Hood, Killeen area. What's my question? So I actually just secured my first probate appointment. It's this upcoming Saturday, and I'm getting a little bit nervous. I have prepared the CMA, and I've gotten in contact with a local estate sales and staging company. So I guess I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not quite sure what the question is, but I just want to make sure that I go in there, prepared and confident. I don't sound confident right now. I just started doing this. I've been calling my leads for about, I would say 60 days, close to 3 months now. I've had 2 appointments back out on me, and this is my 3rd one. We were scheduled to meet last week on Friday, and she called to reschedule. She's very optimistic and sounds very motivated. The house has been paid off. I just want to make sure I'm asking all the right questions.
Sure. You trying to list it or buy it?
I'm trying to list it.
Okay. What are their biggest problems?
That's a good question. I guess I didn't ask that question while I was on the phone with her.
Maybe that's why you're nervous.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the point I'm making is if you ask good questions and you get enough information, they will have drawn you your roadmap for the appointment. They'll tell you exactly what they need. So, and it's fine. You got an appointment. That's great. Don't beat yourself up too much. But next time, the more information you have, the more you know about how you can, the highest level of service, what the highest level of service is to them. And when you talk about that, the more eager they are to meet you. So these appointments stick even when you set them as tentative appointments. They should never cancel because you should put so much curiosity out there about removing their pain that they can't. The only thing they want to do is meet with you. So you'll get there. You just need to you're new to it, but don't beat yourself up. If you can find a reason to reconnect with them, like confirming the appointment, just say, listen, I thought about this a little bit more, and I should have asked more questions. Let's run through your scenario just so I can do my homework and I'm prepared on Saturday. Like, what are the biggest issues you're facing? Like, what would you like to be my problem versus your problem? And get her to tell you, well, it's the personal property, it's this, it's that. then you never know what's going to come out. So you might need to help find housing for surviving family members. You may need to, get the house cleaned out, do an estate sale, get the house, minor repairs. But knowing that before the appointment is it's gonna enable you to really, really impress them, because you'll have had time to kind of think it through and put a strategy together that you think is best for them. When you get there, you're basically verifying that, and then you sit down with confidence and you're like, okay, based on everything we talked about and everything I see, I think you should do X, Y, Z. Here's our target date. We're going to do, come backwards and sign right here and toss the blue pen. And so the more information you have, the more comfortable this will be for you. Just ask more and ask better questions next time. But I wouldn't be afraid to reconnect with them and say, listen, I've finally got some time to dig in, and I just wasn't completely clear on your story, so I just wanted to talk for 10 minutes. Like, tell me what all you guys think you could use help with.
Okay.
And then just let them tell you what you need to do on Saturday.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate
if I may, I just wanted to add to that. I think we somewhat over-prepare our people for appointments, because number one, the more you have to offer them, the more likely you are to get the appointment. But honestly, in all of our collective experience, there's very, very little chance they're going to ask you any legal or technical questions that you don't know. And if they do, I think that's probably a 1% chance. I never had anybody ask me, but if they do, just go ahead. That's a great question for the attorney. I'll find out and get back to you. Chances are it's just going to be a motivated listing appointment. And you've done plenty of those before. So, don't read too much into it. It's not as complicated as we make it sound when we give you so much information and, prepare you so well. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what I'm naturally an overthinker, so I was thinking, like, maybe she's going to ask me some real technical questions or something that should be directed to the attorney, and I'm not prepared for that.
Very unlikely.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, you're going to be focusing on people and situation. This is a very human thing. Like, as far as real estate lists go, this is the most human list that I've ever worked. It's about them and the way they feel in their situation and getting them relief. And so they don't drag you into legalities, and you don't have to be a probate legal expert to be good at this. You need to be good at looking people in the eye and building trust. That's what they want. Do you have cash buyers there in your market? Do you have good relationships?
I do.
Okay.
Particularly more, I guess, yeah, they are in our market. They're out-of-town investors.
Okay, I've got a guy in town. He's in Leander, but a good friend of mine is buying 15 houses a week in your neighborhood.
Really?
So if you need a strong buyer to rely on, you'll have an offer within minutes, and he'll close as soon as title comes back, and I know that the capital's there. It's not a game. So if you need a cash buyer to fall back on, I'll introduce you to somebody. Literally, he's in your neighborhood every day.
Yeah, Leander is like literally 30 minutes away from here.
Yeah, but he's buying in Killeen because it's a better value.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that would be great. That introduction would actually be amazing.
Yeah, you can email me at chat at all the leads. Send me an email, and I'll connect you guys.
Thanks, Chad. Appreciate it.
Sure.
All right, and we expect a call back next Thursday to tell us about getting the listing.
Absolutely, and I sure will.
All off well this week. We only have 2 more in the queue, guys. Don't be shy. We got plenty of room for more. Hit *6 and hit 1, and do it now. Don't wait till the last minute. Next up is phone number ending in 7717. You're up next.
Hey, how's it going? This is George.
Yeah, hey, George.
Hey, George.
Quick question. Yeah, I have a quick question. I'm new to the probate thing. So basically, with the probate, do I get in contact with the personal representative or the attorney?
Yes.
I was going to say the same thing. Yes.
So you definitely want to reach out to the personal representative first. That's you're going direct to the decision maker. So you want to reach out to them early and often. But you also, if you get that deal, the first thing you should do is introduce yourself to the probate attorney. But even if you don't hear from that family, over time, you should be trying to meet every probate attorney in town, and not about a specific deal, not to ask for anything. You need to find ways to bring value to their business so they don't see you as someone that's just trying to be a taker. Like, open the door with a referral. Like, go find somebody that needs an estate plan and refer them in. Find somebody on the list that doesn't have a probate attorney and refer them in person. Like, drive there, meet with the person, with the attorney, and say, listen, I'm looking for the right fit for the Smith family. I spoke with them. They don't have an attorney. They need one. Am I in the right place? And naturally, that conversation will segue into what the hell is it that you do? And then you'll have an opportunity to show them that your business picks up where their service leaves off, and you help with all the non-legal aspects of probate. But so you kind of look at it as two branches. One branch is marketing, and that's directly to the personal representative. The other branch is a longer-term referral network with the probate attorneys and other people, involved in that phase of life.
Okay, I got you. Okay, and also, one person that's into probate told me that they recommend sending direct mail to the personal representatives, or do you guys recommend cold calling instead?
We recommend the combination. So what you can find success with just mail or just calls, but those working in tandem are where you get the best conversion rate. So if you send a compelling letter that looks unlike any of the other letters, and then you follow it up with a phone call that sounds way different than anyone else they've spoken to, that's the key to getting engagement, where everyone else is trying to we buy houses, we list houses approach, where we're very people focused, and showing them that we have a number of reasons to call us back. We can help with clean out, contracting, anything that's bothering the family. So it's just a different approach. So hitting them in the mailbox where they get kind of an introduction, that's the first disruption. So then when you call them and say, hey, I sent you a letter, just wanted to make sure I followed up and you understood why we sent it, that's way different than what anyone else is saying. Everyone else is referencing the deceased name. They're referencing the deceased address. They're labeling themselves as realtors or investors. So the families establish a pattern of protecting themselves as they see it and not just blocking all those people out. And the approach we teach is very different in that 90% of this is engagement. So all the stuff that we talk about that sounds so complicated, it's just to get the engagement. Once you get that and they see that you're doing this for the right reasons, you pretty much have the deal. But we have to get them on the phone, and we have to build trust with them. And so anyway, that's why it's so different than the approach you would use on any other list.
Got you. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. All right, well, thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. We only have 2 more in the queue, guys. We never have a short call, but we need more people to hop in there. Hit *6 and hit 1, and do it now, please. Next up is phone number ending in 7772.
Hi, my name is Erin, and I'm from the Austin, Texas area. And I just wanted to say, first of all, I just finished the mastery course in December, and I'm going to do it again in January. It's been super helpful. And I just wanted to get, as I'm new and I have a budget for what I'm putting into this business as I begin, I wanted to hear the difference between getting the leads. I'm currently getting my leads through you guys and all the leads, but I was also wondering if you've had experience with individuals getting their leads through the notice to debtors in the newspaper. And I guess, the main difference is there's been a lot of time since the estate opened and the notice has to be published. So is the reason we wouldn't want to do that because it's just too much time has lapsed in time to contact people based on the notice in the paper?
So I'll preface this by saying a lot of the smart-ass questions I ask are because of the mistakes I've made. But, what's your time worth? And how long will it take you to comb through those, skip trace those, get them into a system that you can manage them, then do your mail? Like, it's kind of the reason we're here is we can show you how,
Right.
even though it looks like a big bill on your credit card statement, we can get, like, by being part of a system like this, you can get right to the dollar productive activity. And by dollar productive, I mean as a direct result of that activity, you get paid. That means getting on, like, phone prospecting, face-to-face appointments, and getting listings or deals. So yes, you can do that, and there's stuff on YouTube where I teach you how to do that. Like, we give that away for free because we know the value of having a system that basically knocks all of that out. So rather than you beating the learning curve, figuring out and building your own system, you can plug into this one. And what you've got to look at, I mean, the average realtor made $48,000 last year. So their time's worth, what, $25 an hour? And I think on this call, we're well above that bar. Like, we're well above average because the average person does 3.5 deals a year. So, I think it's more of a mindset thing. Like, I did this,
Right.
I went to the courthouse, I stuffed my own envelopes, and then I sat down and figured out my labor, like true labor cost if I were paying myself. And I realized what a fool I was. And because I would have been paying all the leads less than I would have theoretically should have been paying myself. And then, like, with all that built and systematized, all I had to do, like, all that was left was to get on the phone. So a lot of times when we start something new and it's intimidating, we'll find work to keep us busy, even though it's not really serving our bigger goal. It's not getting us closer to our outcome.
No, he's an employment law expert. So we've got an employment law expert. We really need a real estate expert.
Oh, Jim, somebody's on the phone that needs a real estate.
Yeah, that's somebody in the background. Let me see if somebody else is. Yeah, it's not here. Someone else somehow unmuted themselves. I don't know who that would be, but yeah, nobody else is
anyway,
unmuted.
For the
Go ahead.
The original caller. I mean, I with respect, like, get real with yourself. Is it about the budget, or are you making yourself busy? And again, that's coming from my own personal experience because I've observed myself doing this, and then I kind of woke up and I'm like, okay, so that's for people who make $7 an hour. I make $200 an hour, so I'm going to go do these things. I'm going to get on the phone. So but obviously, all that said, if there's just no money there, you have to find a way to do it. So I would rather see you take one list in our system, and if you can't afford the second list, we're still going to let you have system access. Work that list until you get revenue, and then reinvest that back into your next campaign. I think it'll be more sustainable, and you're far more likely to succeed if you focus on one list and extract everything you can from it versus trying to go to the courthouse and gather this data and run it as a full-blown system. The reason our system is laid out the way it is because of you guys. But as we identified the choke points and we saw where realtors and investors stumbled and eventually quit, we would build software, or we built a better mousetrap every step of the way. So now we have a CRM, we have lots of advanced training. Each of those things are mainly because of the need we saw from you guys. So if budget is really, really the issue, focus on getting everything you can out of that first list and just make a commitment that you'll reinvest that back into, the next list and get this going. But I wouldn't recommend doing your own data and stuff. It's hard to duplicate what we have for the price we give it to you.
Right.
And I was just gonna add to that also. I've had questions from people over the years, like a lot of real estate or a lot of local newspapers will put whatever data will fit in the space that they have. So I've had calls from people like, well, our newspaper doesn't show that many probate leads. They're not. To answer your question, yeah, it probably is delayed. It's like the local paper that says, here's the recent real estate sales in your market, and they'll list 4 or 5 of them, and there might have been 100. So the data is going to be delayed. It's not going to be nearly as complete as, as what we're going to be able to give you. So, for many reasons, just stick with what you got and make it work, and we'll be here to help you make that happen.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys.
All right, you're very welcome. Good job, guys. We have 4 in the queue now. I figured out who that was. Someone signed in as an administrator, and sorry about that. I went ahead and muted you out. So next up is phone number ending in 8492. You're up next.
Hey guys, my name is Ryan. Just a quick question about some of the probate services. I have noticed doing some research online that most people that offer probate real estate services that I've found are also licensed agents, so they have the ability, obviously, to choose whether or not to list a property on the MLS or just wholesale it, depending on what the situation ends up being. I'm not a licensed agent, so naturally, I'm going to miss out on a lot of the many leads that just want to list on the MLS and get top market dollar, and I'm wondering sort of how realistic it is for most people in a probate situation to just be willing to accept a wholesale price as opposed to trying to get the most bang for the buck on the MLS. What percentage would you say, from your experience, of probate leads or the leads you guys even offer are willing to just get a low ball cash offer?
So I'll give you a real life example, and there's an hour-long video if you want to hear the whole story. But one of our subscribers in Fort Worth, which is a market with 21,000 real estate agents, 8-ish thousand investors, and every iBuyer that's ever been capitalized. And he'll do 100 deals a calendar year. Of those, 60%, so 60 of those deals are wholesale at 55 cents on the dollar average, and the rest are listings. So that's in a super competitive market where iBuyers are throwing around 80 and 90 cent on the dollar offers that are chock full of hidden fees. But he's able to beat them. He's able to get, he's making 20 to, I'd say 25,000 is the average spread on his wholesales. And he's doing it in one of the most competitive environments in the country. Now, that said, he's monetizing, like they take 2 people on appointments, and trust me, you will leave a ton of money on the table if you don't have a real estate partner or go get your license yourself. And if you're doing more than 2 deals a year, then you should have your real estate license because you're losing money. You're leaving capital for growth on the table. And a lot of people teach you that you have liability. If you're an ethical person, there's no liability with having a license. Your only liability is the $1,500 a year it costs you to keep it up. But if you just don't want to do that, you should partner with an agent who understands your side of the business, like an agent that knows what wholesaling is, that understands, when a home, if they're the first point of contact, they need to be able to spot motivation and equity and refer that over to you or take you on the appointment. If it's just going to be a listing, just let them go. And you have to decide, is it worth me? They can pay you a marketing fee. They can't pay you a commission. But even if you get your real estate license, hang with a transaction fee broker and don't become a member of the MLS, you can receive referrals. And you could take a 50% referral on those listings and still monetize that. So I would say just think bigger and figure out how you can get brokerage into your solution, because it's going to be important. But you can certainly make a living. You can make a lot of money wholesaling off of this list, but you can make a whole lot more if you provide a higher level of service to the families.
Sounds good. Thanks, Chad.
Yep.
Anything else? Okay.
Yeah, take care. Let me see. I wrote down one more thing. Yeah, and then about that, Chad, referring probate leads to realtors that we aren't able to sell ourselves if I don't have my real estate license yet. I know, I asked this, I think, a month or so ago, kind of what you could earn potentially as a fee. What could a realtor offer me in return? So if you could just maybe elaborate on that.
Sure. So, until you really build trust, they can pay you a marketing fee. They can pay directly for your mail, they could pay for your leads, or they could pay for other things in your business. But you figure out, what's it going to be. But what's the median price in your market?
I would, probably about like $450,000.
Okay, so you're talking about $12,000 a pop. You're talking about $4,000 a deal would be a standard referral, right? So
yeah.
if you're not marketing your butt off, you're not going to have enough marketing that they can pay for. So you can come up with whatever the agreement is. They can't pay you a commission, and it can't come from their broker. It's going to have to be post-tax dollars from that agent. One of the considerations would be if you can find somebody that you really trust and have a good relationship with, you guys can start, a fresh LLC and run everything through that. And then that way you're both splitting net evenly. Now, if it's somebody you don't, it's going to take a while to get to that level of trust where that doesn't blow up in your face. You have to have the right person. But they can pay you a marketing fee. But quite honestly, man, it took me 13 days to get my first real estate license. I was fresh out of law enforcement, and the first day of school, everyone was talking about listings, and I'm like, damn, I'm in the wrong place. I don't even know what a listing is, because I was solely focused on military and police. Within 13 days, I made 100 on my exit exam, and I had my license. So, and I've coached a lot of investors through this. Like if you want it, it takes you less than 2 weeks and less than $2,000 almost anywhere to become licensed. And then this question just goes off the table. And in my opinion, you're more credible as a wholesaler. Like you're held to a different standard of ethics at that point. So it gives you a competitive edge against other wholesalers. And they all believe that they have the edge because they don't have a license. And that's great. We want them to think that, right? But having a license and sitting and looking a seller in the eye saying, listen, I just want to let you know I'm a licensed agent. I'm not here in an agency capacity, but I am held to a higher standard of ethics and I have a lot to lose. So I'm just going to be really transparent with you. And you talk about ultimate trust, like people trust that. And I mean, Jim, on this call, Jim, he's been a licensed broker and an investor for 40 years, Jim?
I hate to admit it, but 45. I'm getting old. Yep.
And I have been since 2005. And I have been reported to the state, but it usually is less than a 5-minute conversation because I wasn't doing anything wrong. It was people tattletaling. And if you need it so you have no liability, I'm happy to help you with it. But, I mean, I would much rather see you go get your license and create another stream of revenue in your business than trying to find the right person to give it away to.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But then once you get your license, you have to work for a brokerage, right? And then that probably...
You don't have to. Like, I haven't seen my broker in 3 years. I have an independent broker that charges me a flat fee. Now, we're not a flat fee listing brokerage. Like, I list at 6 or 8%, but she takes $150 off each transaction, and my license hangs there. And you can even, like, if I didn't want to be a member of the MLS, I could hang with her as a referral-only agent, which means I can't directly represent anyone. I can't list the properties, but I can legally take referral fees. So if I would rather delegate the work to someone here, have them do the work and take 50% of the commission, then I would get, in your case, a $6,000 commission on your median price. And I would get, she would take $150 and I would get the remainder. So if you don't want to be a realtor and have signs and, lock boxes and be part of MLS, I get that. But get your license so you're legal with the state, put it on a wall somewhere where it's cheap to hang, and cash those checks for yourself.
Yeah.
All right.
That sounds good. Thanks so much.
Sure. We have 6 more in the queue, guys. I'm going to close the queue in 1 minute. That should take us nicely up to the top of the hour. In the meantime, next up is phone number ending in 3435. You're up next.
Hey there, guys. I'm Antonio. Had a question. It's really on the marketing and the campaigns. Do you suggest that the letters, if you're doing the motivation, you guys marketing, lettering business, should you send so the letters vary from like one campaign to the next? If you're sending out those 1, 2, 3 letters, should it be the same, or do you see better results from what you found from other members that they mix up the letters?
So every letter that's there is proven or it wouldn't be there, meaning it has produced deals. So we vet them out before they're released. In my testing, I find that it's more important when the letter gets there than what the letter says. Every letter that's there is going to look a lot different than anything else they're getting. And they all have the same common theme. As we provide options, you make a choice. And we're offering a lot more than just one solution. We can help you in many different ways. So they all pretty much carry the same theme. The reason we recommend a minimum of 3 months, like some people are going to go immediately, like that the week that they file, they'll be ready to sell. Most of them are going to be 2, 3, 6, 8 months out, and that's where you really find momentum. It seems like between month 6 and 8 is where you really get momentum if you stick with the list. So ideally, we'd want to see you sending letters, to everyone you haven't spoken to for up to 12 months to get the most out of the list. So all that said, it's your frequency is more important than your copy, and because we've already vetted the copy for you. They all work. So it's a matter of spreading your campaign out and being there when they're ready. A lot of times people will stick their head in the sand and just reject people for months and months and months. And then one day they have this emotional breakthrough where they're like, damn, we have got to deal with this. And that's the day you'll sign paperwork. And you never know when it's going to be. It's different for each of them. So focus more on your frequency than your copy. We did the copywriting for you.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot.
All right. Next up is phone number ending in 2729. You're up next.
Hey, guys. How are you? This is Bill Janiga from Michigan.
Great, Bill. Good to hear from you.
Hi. No, I'm trying to get it to work. I'm sorry. I was doing two things at once. I apologize. Trying to get through a gate. What my question is, in one comment, I met with the children of a gentleman that's going into a nursing home. Mama died, and what they are up against is what to do with the property and what to do with some of the other stuff. I was able to get through most of that with them, and one of the things that I did is I had gone out on the first meeting, and I changed the locks for them, which won a lot of points. And then I asked the question, if there's one thing I could take off the plate for you, what would it be? And then they came up with this response that Dad had a judgment lien against them, which obviously attaches to him, then attaches to the property. I spoke with the law firm that handles the judgment, and they are willing to take 25% on the judgment. If I pay off the judgment, is there an issue why I could not put that back on title just to protect myself at the full amount?
Why would you? How would that serve either you or the family?
Well, they're getting harassed from all the credit questions and everything. They don't have the extra cash right now to pay it. I could pay it at a discount and then put the lien back on the property.
Is the intent to sell the property?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's not necessary. So those people, they need to be patient. They're going to get what they're due in the final distribution. Well, they'll get what they're due before the family gets their part.
Correct.
So the advice I would give them is ignore the phone calls. They know that your father is the father under guardianship. Like, does somebody have power of attorney?
Yes. There's both medical and durable.
So what I would do is go ahead and list the property, get a copy of the listing agreement to the creditor, the lien holder, or the judgment holder, and tell them to leave the family the hell alone while you do your job. They'll be paid through the probate or the distribution. Well, actually, he's still alive, so there is no distribution. Like, once the asset's sold, they'll be paid.
Correct.
But I don't see any benefit to the family nor to you. It's just straight up risk for you to use your money to clear a judgment. Now, you've done the family a huge service by letting them know that the real estate is sold. Actually, I'm going to change my advice here. I would get something in writing from them. Just say, do you have contact with them?
Oh, yes.
So get something in writing from the judgment, the lien holder, and say, listen, I need to deliver this to the power of attorney and the family. Can you please put that in writing and email it to me? Get that to her, and then get the house on the market, get it under contract, hand that to the title company, and that will allow you to discount that judgment by 75%. If you tell them you're going to sell the real estate and they know there's equity in it, they won't negotiate with you. But since they've already made the offer for 25 cents on the dollar, get it in writing and get it to the closing company, and then just tell them to just ignore their phone calls. When you close, they'll be paid by the title company or the closing attorney. You know, they'll have to release the judgment, and you've got something in writing. When the title company calls them, they'll say, you know, here from your CEO, it was an offer to settle, and we'll be wiring that amount to you tomorrow. Send us a release.
Okay. All right. Totally different approach. That's great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And Bill, congratulations on getting past the gatekeeper. We talk about that a lot.
Well, I think the thing that did it, I asked the typical questions about the insurance,
No, I was
the keys to the house.
I'm just making a joke. You said you were trying to get through the gate at the beginning of the call. I said, well, you got past the gatekeeper. That's a bad joke. Never mind.
No,
Good job.
I apologize. I'm on the road, and I didn't want to use the phone, so I did the hands-free. And
Right.
the complex that I'm pulling in is gated, and the key fob didn't work, and then the security guard came out.
Yep.
So I apologize.
No. I was making a bad joke. Just ignore me. That's okay.
It was a good joke.
All jokes are good. I love all
All
jokes.
right.
Bill,
Thanks,
before you go, wait a minute, Jim. Before you cut him off, I want to say, like, just congratulations for doing this the right way. Like, you're living provide value first. So you made contact with the family. You identified their needs. One of the first ones was securing the property. You actually went over there and changed locks, which, you know, isn't a huge thing, but the perceived value of that is massive, especially if the POA is a female who doesn't have those handyman skills. Like, you're living exactly what we teach, and thank you for coming and sharing that and, like, being an example for everybody. The other thing is when you encountered a title issue, you ran toward it, and you got them to discount it by 75%, and that's not to be taken lightly. Like, that's really important for a lot of these families, especially with a father and guardianship going into long-term care. Every dollar matters to this family. And you're really, really focused on getting them everything that you can. So thank you for sharing that.
No, and
Good job.
You know, most of them, they couldn't handle the locks. I figured if I get the listing, what's $50 investment? I didn't even ask them to be reimbursed. And in many regards, I'm much like you. I've got the law enforcement background, 32 years, and I'm not intimidated by the attorney. After you go up against a bunch of them in federal court, what's one more conversation? It's not that big of a deal. So thanks, guys. I appreciate all your help.
Great job, Bill. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have 4 more in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 7246. You're up next.
Hey, this is Dale Green. I'm in Lilburn, Georgia.
Hey, Dale.
Hey, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm new to this forum with y'all with all the leads. Just wanted to say hi and looking forward to what's to come.
Awesome. Anything specific we can help you with today?
That's kind of a loaded question, but no.
What's your biggest challenge so
far? Nothing. I just signed up this morning. I've been talking about it. I've been talking with one of your reps for a couple of months, and I talked with my partner, and we have decided to start using this as a lead source. We are investors. We are not agents, but one of us is going to be getting our license here in Georgia. I had license 30 years ago, and I screwed up and let them lapse.
That's great.
But now, yeah. So we invest. We do some other things besides probate, but we wanted to get into the probate niche because everybody seems to think that this is a lot more complicated. There's more steps, but I think that we want to hit the ground running and with the leads that we've got coming to us, and just want to make the best of it. And just wanted to introduce, and whoever else is here in Georgia, say hi.
Well, welcome, and please come back and share your successes with it. We appreciate it. All right. Next up is phone number ending in 5681. You're up next.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Hey, great. How about you?
Great. Doing well. I'm Derek. Just getting started, been making my calls. Just getting a lot of people that's saying, when I'm actually speaking with people, they're saying that they're not interested. They don't really need any help. I guess I'm just trying to find a way to be able to best. I guess my question is, how could I best be able to be of service to them, to let them know that there is somebody there, so that they will actually open up, that they may need if they may need help.
Are you have you been on our role play calls and listened to the approach we use on the phones?
Yes, I have. So I've definitely been trying to. So my approach when I'm calling them is just saying that more so of I'm just getting started. So I'm saying that more so that I am a probate expert. We have different solutions to help people in their situation. And asking them if there's anything that they may need help with. And what is the
Let's role play it, man. Back up. Call me.
Oh, man.
You press *61. Let's role play.
Okay. All right.
Ring.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, this is. Yes.
Chad.
Is this Chad speaking? If not speaking with Chad.
This is Chad. Who is this?
Hi, Chad. My name is Darren. I'm a probate expert in the area, and we were just reaching out. We reach out to people in your situations. We know that you are the PR on such and such on such and such a state. So we was calling to reach out to see if you were in need of any help in any situation between as far as either real estate or anything. If there's anything right now, what is the biggest thing that we could take off your hands to be able to help you in the situation?
All right, dude. So you got the pieces right. Your delivery is poor, and okay. I don't mean to beat you up in front of the whole country, but you're not clear on the value to them, or you wouldn't be putting in as many ums and ahs and moving around so much. You have to command control of these conversations so these people believe that you're an expert. If you label yourself as an expert and then you stammer through it, they're not buying that. And I think that's probably where you're getting wrapped around the axle. So the best thing you could do, and just commit 2 hours this week and listen to 2 role play calls all the way through, and you'll hear us do it. We'll approach the objection you're getting as we've got it handled, our attorney has it handled, we don't need help. And that's just a very polite way of saying, I see zero value in this phone call, leave me the hell alone. And what you've got to do is you've got to be confident enough to deliver your value, and you get the exact opposite. Instead of getting run off by a behavioral pattern, you get engagement because it's intriguing to them. And so you've got the pieces right, and I'm guessing you're here for the right reasons. Like you're courageous enough to stand up and ask for help. I think that if you print off the probate seller interview sheet, you can find that under the fast track video number 3. Print off that, and that's kind of your conversation framework. And listen to at least 2 full role plays. And I think that'll clean up your language, and you'll get clear on how to do this. Because you know what you need to say. You're just not delivering it in a way that that's really confidence inspiring. And the good news about that is you're probably 2 to 3 hours and maybe 10 phone calls from nailing it. It's not that hard to learn. So by this time next week you could be an ace on the phones. Like you could be killing it. The other thing that I'll point you to, there was one more thing I wanted to. In our Facebook group, All the Leads Mastermind. Are you a member?
I am.
So there's probably 4 or 5 little role play groups that have formed over the last 2 to 3 weeks. Go into that group and over on the left, search role play, and you'll see there's groups of 3, 4, 5 people who are putting it on the calendar every week to role play with each other and help each other through this. And I love that because it's what a true mastermind is. It's a community helping each other. So if you want to practice, and I mean, this is hundreds of thousands of dollars at stake for you, right? So it's worth a little bit of embarrassment and a few Wednesday afternoons to nail this, because if you do, you're going to make tons and tons and tons of money and help a lot of folks. So I would ask you to start with the role play calls, and then once you've gone through that and kind of get your language cleaned up where you feel good about it, then jump into those groups and compare yourself to others and help other people get to where you are if you've risen to the top. But honestly, man, just keep sharpening your axe and don't be afraid to get on the phones. We all fall on our. I mean, I didn't know anything about this when I started. A couple months in, I was confident and delivered it pretty much the way I do now. So you're close. The good news is you have the knowledge and the pieces. You just have to get better at your delivery.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
All right. Next up is phone number ending in 3755. You're up next.
Good afternoon. So this is Janelle, and I've been in the program about 3 or 4 months, and this is really kind of a pre-probate question. I live in a retirement area, and I'm finding about half of my leads have already sold before the person even passes away.
Sure.
When you're dealing with families, do you guys have a super efficient way to go about getting an accurate payoff when the person may still be living, even though you could be talking to a family?
So I think the best resource I know, there's a software called Propstream, and it's about $99 a month. It's an incredibly useful tool for a whole lot of reasons. But they have probably the best mortgage data in the industry, and in under 30 seconds you can pull up the entire history of the real estate. Like they give you an AVM that the same the automated appraisal system that banks use for HELOCs, so a really accurate AVM.
Well, we're a non-disclosure state, so they suffer here in Texas because we're non-disclosure, but that's fine.
Yeah.
If you're going to get an authorization from the family, to get that, to contact the lender about what the right lien amount is. When you're dealing with folks that are, aging out of the ability to handle this stuff for themselves, getting that authorization, I don't know.
But I'm assuming
you're.
I made the assumption you wanted this before you went on the appointment or immediately when you picked up the phone.
Well, I'm going to meet with a family Saturday that's a referral, and, mom is aging out, and so this is kind of that investment thing, except the person has not yet, passed away. So we're pre-probate, and they're like, well, we know she owes some money and da-da-da-da-da, and getting that nailed down as fast as possible is really what's going to create the opportunities for me.
Okay, well, if you can wait until the appointment, the best thing to do is say, okay, well, Ms. Smith, you're making the mortgage payments for your mother, correct? And
I don't think so. Yes. I think this is probably going to be a reverse and getting that outstanding amount.
Oh, okay.
Okay. If the family isn't fully, handed over the reins to, somebody in the family to be a guardian, I'm just like, when you're dealing with these mortgage companies, and getting an accurate payoff, because that makes all the numbers work for an investor, flipper, wholesaler.
Right. So, I mean, chances are they have a statement. Even if it's an annual statement, they have to be given something from the mortgage company. So I would try to have them bring the last statement, the last piece of mail that came from that mortgage company. Try to get them to bring that to the appointment. When you go, take an authorization to release with you and have them sign that. That way you can just call the lender and request the payoff right after the appointment.
And do you have one of those?
I do, but I don't share paperwork because I'm in Virginia and you're in Texas, and if something backfires, it's not worth the liability. Any good real estate attorney who's ever done a short sale will have an authorization to release they'll share with you.
So they're more standard. They're not necessarily lender specific.
No, it's basically just the borrower's name, loan number, social security, and then who's being authorized to release to. It's literally like 2/3 of a page. And I've never had one. I've never had a request rejected. I've got a very, very simple one that was just made in Microsoft Word, and it's worked every time.
Okay. So I might, if I'm doing it for my own investment, I could do it as a principal, perhaps.
You don't even have to label yourself. Like an authorization to release is, privacy laws can be good sometimes. Like as an investor, the very first house I ever bought was a subject to, and I was nervous as can be because I'm like, they're not going to talk to me. This isn't going to work. I submitted the authorization to release, and I had full authority to do it. I set up automatic payments through a third-party servicer, and no one even asked me who I was. Like they didn't care.
So as long as the family signs or the lady signs or whatever, that should get me in the driver's seat to get to some hard numbers.
Yep. And is there a power of attorney, or is the
I don't think so. I
person
think
still
they just moved
confident?
her out of the house, and I have, this feeling of being into some of these places before that, there's going to be, 2 feet deep stacks of mails, and Mama couldn't take care of herself anymore, and they've moved her off, and now, I got referred in about what to do next, and so I just, the quicker I can get to the numbers, the faster, I can move on it.
Yeah. What's your overall business strategy? Are you primarily an investor?
I'm primarily a real estate broker, and I've done it for a while. I've done a little bit of investing, not tons of it. The industry is definitely going to go to that discounted iBuyer thing. I've worked with tons of flippers and cash buyers and all that, but kind of would like to take a wholesale piece for myself. I'm not really interested in doing, finish stuff out, as it were. So it's just one of those extra, legs in the business that as things change, I'd like to have my own piece of the wholesale side of it in addition to my brokerage business.
If you're underwriting a lot of deals, $99 a month is very affordable for what Propstream will give you. And I mean, to the extent I use it to underwrite my mortgages. I write a lot of private mortgages, and I trust it so much that I use it as basically my automated underwriter. It just aggregates every piece of data available on every piece of real estate in the country. And for $100, if you have a good deal flow, I mean, if you've got good revenue, it's going to be a useful tool in your business. So you can essentially do a preliminary title search. It's going to pick up liens, mortgages, transaction history, MLS status. It brings all that into one single property report.
Do they have a trial period? Sounds interesting.
Yeah, I think it's 7 days.
Okay. All right. Well, I will look into it. I appreciate it.
Sure.
All right. Last up this week, we're going to actually probably finish right on time. Last up is phone number ending in 6221. We save the best for last. No pressure. Are you there?
This better be the one
Desmond?
of the week.
Yeah. Stephen, Desmond. Phone number ending in 6221. Are you there?
Okay, yep. It helps if I take it off mute. Yep.
Yeah, that would help. Yes, sir. Now we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that. Thanks very much.
Sure.
Just a question for you. If we, when you actually get into, let's say, do a transaction, and do most people go for the wholesale price, or do most people go for listing it? And if they go for a wholesale price, then you have to find a buyer, wouldn't you? Or
Well, it's really understanding what the family's needs are. If they're super motivated and need to close inside of 30 days, then you're eliminating retail. You're kind of at as is or cash. And if they don't want to, if they want to do it discreetly, or that speed is really, really important, then a wholesale offer is what's going to serve them best. And we really, we're of the mindset, the family, you should be empowered to help them in any way they need help, and you should allow them to make a choice. But like I said earlier in this call, I mean, some of our best subscribers, 60% of their deals are wholesale, even though they're offering a full brokerage service. They're saying, we will list it for this number, or we will buy it for this number. And people self-select. And when you give them that level of transparency, so it takes a little bit of a shift in mindset for most investors, because it's like, well, you go in there, it's a numbers game. You just make offers. And those are the people that they tend to not do very well in probate. They get one here and there, broken clocks right twice a day. But if you really want to build this as a lasting niche in your business, go in and focus on the people, find out what their problems are, find out what their motivating factors are, and then make a suggestion. And then you can just selling this home at a discount and closing next week is in your best interest. And if they flinch, then you can say, okay, well, listen, we can sell it for this number, but it's going to require 6 months of construction and about $60,000 of capital. You don't seem to have the time or the money. Would you agree? Yes. So you get your affirmation and you move to as is. Okay, so as is, where is. This means we put it on MLS. This is a price that should go under contract within 7 days and close within 30 days. But based on what you've told me, you don't really have the time to wait around. Would you agree? yes, you get the affirmation, and you say, okay, all that said, then the what I believe, like I said, I believe the best option for you is to take a discounted price. We'll pay all the closing costs. We'll close as soon as title comes back, probably in 3 to 5 business days, and you guys can be done with this. You don't even have to clean it out. We'll take everything here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you slide the paper over and toss them a blue pen, and they sign it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's being really transparent, but letting them make a choice. And they, when you do that, it's not like you strong-armed them in anything. You were just there explaining what their options were. And it becomes obvious when somebody's in a situation where they'll sell a house for 50 or 60 cents on the dollar, it becomes really obvious to them why you suggested that and why you're offering what you're offering. Because you can say, listen, we can sell this house for 175 grand, but it's going to take 60 grand, a lot of relationships with construction, with contractors and construction management, and 6 months. So would you guys like me to help you do that and take that risk, or would you rather me take that risk? Okay, well, here's the price you get if I'm taking the risk. Are you comfortable with that? Okay, here's the blue pen. And it is literally that easy. And the people trust you so much more because you're showing them what they can't have, and you're telling them why they can't have it. And as far as the second part of your question, if you get one wrapped up under as a deal at 50 cents on the dollar, you never have trouble selling a good deal, especially in an environment like today. So you need to be building your cash buyers list. If you go to alltheleads.com in the top right, you'll see a global search bar, and go there and type in cash buyers. And you're going to see a blog post from, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 years ago. It's a video blog where I give you 3 ways to find cash buyers today. It's about 10 or 11 minutes long. But watch that video and go get to work building your buyers list. It sounds like you're nervous because you don't know, if you get a tagger by the tail, you don't know what to do with it. Am I right?
No, that's right, Chad. Right.
Yeah, so go build your buyers list, man. Like go meet some of those investors that are looking for deals today. There's lots of them out there. There's tons and tons of capital and very few deals. So it's never easier to build a buyers list than it is in this environment.
I see. And Chad,
okay.
As far as like joining a brokerage firm, would it be worth? Is it worthwhile? What's your opinion?
I'm sorry, someone.
Stephen, do you work for Remax?
No,
I think his cat does.
Remax! We hear somebody in the background, but go ahead.
Yeah, what do you think about going with like a national firm? I'm just getting my license now versus going, a local office.
Are you asking about independent brokerage versus franchise brokerage?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a really personal choice, man. In my opinion, if you need someone to mentor you and train you and show you into the business and provide the tools, franchise brokerage is great for that. If you're a strong self-starter and you're very systematic on your own, you're not going to get much value from it. So how many books did you read last year?
Yeah, I mean a lot of real estate books.
How many?
I'd say 5.
Okay.
Not a lot, but.
And did you implement what you learned in them?
No, well, I'm doing lease options, a lot of that, and regular. I'm really concentrating lease options and trying that wholesale. I was trying to do commercial, multifamily stuff, but because cap rates are going up and it's getting real competitive. This probate system, I do tax work and I'm familiar with paperwork, to the end, but I don't mind talking to people. So I think this. I've been looking at probate for a while. I think you got a good system here.
Well, to answer your question, I mean, what I was getting at, like if you're reading 50 to 100 books a year and you go put that stuff into action, you'll probably not get any advantage. There won't be much of a benefit to franchise brokerage. Yeah. If you read 6 books last year and you didn't do a deal from what you learned in those books, you probably would benefit from franchise brokerage because they're going to have a kind of a systematic entry into the business, and they'll help you with getting your tools and systems in place. And you'll pay usually about $25 grand a year is what before you go to 100%. But if you're going to do all that stuff on your own, I'd rather see you reinvest that 25 in your business. If you think it's not going to happen, and you typically get things started slowly, then you'll benefit from being part of a an established franchise with an established training program and accountability.
Yeah, I see. Okay. And that's it. Like I said, I also do some tax work, but if I go out to see these people, I just have to see what their needs are first, really. I mean, as far as doing taxes for them or help them do other stuff.
Yeah, well, every family has to file a final tax return for the deceased.
Yeah.
So that could be one of the things you offer for free, and so it's not common that we get licensed CPAs on these calls, so we don't talk about it a lot. But you could reach out with your initial marketing letter to say, listen, I've got a team of folks here in town, here locally, that help families going through probate. One of the things that every family needs is the final tax return. So we're willing to, that's something we know we can help you with, and we'll take care of that for free. Let's figure out how else we can help you. Call me at 555-1234. So you're leading with value. You're offering them, I don't know, what's that worth? $400? And
yeah,
are you willing to plug some numbers into the software that's going to do the work for you anyways to get a listing?
Mm-hmm.
Sure you are, because the perceived value is much higher than the actual cost. So that should be one of your marketing hooks, is a free final tax return.
Right. Yeah, okay, Chad, that's good ideas. That's good.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Come back and let us know. I have a feeling one of our salespeople will be reaching out to you today, Desmond. I just looked you up. I saw that you're not a subscriber. I'll have somebody reach out to talk to you if that's okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. Appreciate it. Okay.
All right. Thank you, guys. Boy, we are exactly an hour call. We haven't done that in a long time. I want to end these calls like I always do. I want to thank, all 120 of you that showed up today. I want to particularly thank the dozen people that actively participated. And I want to challenge all of you. We had some good conversations, good ideas. Take one thing that inspired you on the call today, go out and put it into practice, and come back next Thursday and share your results with the group. Thank you so much, guys. Make it a great week, and we will talk to you same time next Thursday. Take care.